So hopefully you are to the point that you're ready to start painting today. And I'm sure you can't see my drawing, but I've got a drawing here. I've got some cherries with some leaves in the background, and I'm real quick going to kind of show you how to get started. So watercolor, you tend to want to work back to front, background first, and then your foreground. And you want to do things like build undertones and then layer it up. So you'll notice with Nicola, she did that. She didn't really talk about that, but she did that. And I could tell a lot of you didn't do that. You just went, bam, I'm going to make it look like hers and make it dark and not work up your layers. And I really want you to do your layers on your actual project like this. So I'm going to start with my big brush, and I'm trying to use basically the same thing you guys have. And you'll notice I have this same palette. Lots of color. I have a paper towel ready because that's usually pretty important. And I'm going to do my background first. And so backgrounds are pretty wet, a lot of water. I have a leaf that you're going to see start showing up because I'm painting around it. Okay. Okay, notice how wet it is and how quickly it goes on because it's so wet. Okay, so I'll probably edit some of this out so you don't have to watch me do all this, but I'm just going to keep recording right now. Yep. Got a dribble, so I just wipe it off. And it's okay that it's not all perfectly the same color yellow. For mine it is anyway, because it's just kind of a background, and it's actually going to end up being kind of green. I'm just setting these undertones because my background is a greenish yellow. So I'm doing yellow. So if your background has a lot of whites looking through it, you want to make sure you leave the whites. That is the key thing about watercolor. You leave the whites alone. So there's kind of my background shades of that. And as it's wet, I want to start putting a little green in it. And I don't want to be a perfect wash of green. I want it to look like there could be some leaves in the background. And I am looking off a picture, guys, just like you will be. You just can't see it. It's on my Chromebook over here on the side. I'll show you it eventually. Okay, so while it's wet, I'm working some green into it, but I don't want the green to be everywhere. That's my background for today. Now, will I come back in and work on that? Absolutely. I just need that to get nice and dry. Okay, so if you want to keep working right now, take a blow dryer and blow dry that off. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do here. Okay, so I blow dried it. Make sure when you blow dry you use the low setting so you don't splatter all over the place, and make sure your blow dryer is pointed straight down when you do that. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start working on your undertones. So my cherries have definite shadows in them. So since my cherries are going to be red, a lot of times your undertones are going to be brown, and that is probably most of you, your undertones will be brown. You'll just have to decide, and if you don't know, just ask me. And I'm going to put a touch of red in my brown so they're actually kind of a reddish brown color. Then I'm going to look at my picture and say, where are the shadows? So there's definitely a shadow on this side of the cherry. And I don't want it to have a perfect hard edge. So I keep working that in. I don't want it to have a straight line. And if you were watching Nicola do her circles, you saw that too. I do, however, want the edge of my cherry to be really nice and sharp. So I am going to come in with some fairly dark brown on this outside edge and get a pretty good edge. And then I'm just going to kind of work it out because I have the rest of that wet. So I can work that edge out so it doesn't make a harsh line to the inside. I do want it to make a pretty good line to the outside. It must be a little bit wet there because you can see. Okay, so that's kind of the edge of my cherry there. Then I've got the same thing. I'll mix a little bit more paint. I have 3 cherries here. I don't know if you can tell that, but I do. Okay, so down on this one, I have a shadow, and it's more towards the bottom, and it ends right along next to that other cherry. And it's definitely darker at the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of take this and smooth, work that out there like that. Okay, but I do want this line to be clean again, so I'm really going to kind of go in and straighten that out. And my darkest point is down in here along this edge, so I'm just going to go ahead and touch a little bit of dark brown into that. Okay, I also definitely have a shadow here where the stem comes in, so that's going to be like that. I definitely have shadows around where the stem comes in on the top of this cherry. And then there's kind of a light part like that, so I'm going to leave that. Okay, and I definitely have a really thin dark place right there. And this, as I'm looking closer, this shadow is wider. Okay, then I've got stems that are pretty light, so I'm not going to do any undertones on those. And then I've got a couple leaves that have a little bit of dark place. So I'm going to take a little brown, or a little green, sorry, and put it in that brown I'd already made and kind of make this darkish green color. And I'm going to go ahead and put some dark green, and once again, this is just an undertone, in this leaf here. And I'm just gonna kind of do like this because this is how it's shaded, okay? And I purposely want this edge to be kind of soft. Alright, then I'm just gonna come in here and just put a little water on that part.